Welcome, dear friends. As we can see here, we have a lot going on in our studios with 2 sessions here and facilitating the channel for children. If you have children from, let's say, 4 to maybe 13th, just go to the Spirit Society of Virginia's webpage and you're going to be able to let them study a beautiful lesson today. It's about art for the good. And now you are welcome here to our session. Our team is here, part of our team, not the whole team. Part of our team is here to lead us into this session. And welcome, friends. We can see you're coming in. Let us read from this book, Message 151, Our Daily Bread, by Emmanuel, through Chico Xavier. He says, no one leaves. Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall I go? You have the words of eternal life. John 6:68. As the Master revealed new characteristics of his doctrine of love, by then numerous followers began to understand their responsibilities more deeply. As a result, many of them grew afraid of their ensuing obligations and discreetly left the hospitable gathering of Capernaum. Christ, however, was aware of the obligations of divine order, and rather than violating the principles of freedom, he assembled a small group that remained and asked his disciples, do you too want to leave? This was the circumstance in which Peter gave his wise response, forever engraved in the Christian building. The truth of the matter is that whoever begins the work of higher spirituality with Jesus will never again feel the same emotions when apart from him. The sublime experience may at times be interrupted, but it will never be destroyed. Compelled on various occasions by the demands of physical realm, followers of the gospel will suffer spiritual accidents that bring them briefly to a halt. However, they will not leave the pathway for good. Whoever effectively partakes of the banquet of the Christian revelation will never forget the loving Master who sent them the invitation. For this reason, Simon Peter asked fittingly, Lord, to whom shall we go? The world is replete with philosophers, scientists, and reformers of all kinds, who are of course to be respected for the advanced human concepts they proclaim. But in most cases, they are no more than simple expositors of transitory words that reflect fleeting experiences. Christ, however, is the Savior of souls and the Master of hearts, and in him we find the roads of life eternal. Welcome, friends. So let us pray so we can begin our study. Our friends are here, Luciana and Paloma, to help us with the study, but let us pray together. And if you're asking why we're praying again, why do we do this? Is this a ritual? No, it is not. Because whether we are in a spiritist center or at home, it's about attuning. The prayer is like getting into the Wi-Fi of the good spirits. So let us pray with them so we can get together. And once we're in, we're going to be able to be more permeable to their treatment, to their explanations, to their operation upon us. 1 second. Let us feel the invitation of our spirit protectors, guides, loving and kind Master Jesus. We would like to learn more tonight, be empowered in our greater understanding, as well as be treated to gain new harmony and balance. We would like to invite you to our homes, so everyone who is in it be treated for their needs, be rescued if needed. And if we may ask, please multiply our good vibrations so they can be showered onto those who are suffering the most. We feel your loving presence and your kindness, and we are here together to sustain this current of love and healing. So both realms of life be cleansed, strengthened, nourished. Please count on us to the support of these healing moments. May we feel the sweet vibrations of your love and remain with you. We ask for your guidance, for your protection, as you give us permission to open this service in your name and love. And so be it. Welcome, friends. So, right here at Kardec Radio, we're opening the doors of the Spiritist Society of Virginia to you, so we understand how the spiritual help operates upon death and discarnation. To help us now, Paloma and Luciana are going to lead us into this great understanding.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be once again here studying together. And this topic is a must, even though we might feel that we don't want to talk about death. We don't want to address it. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to imagine that we'll ever go through it. But the reality is, I call it life in life, because you're just transitioning from material life to the spiritual life and back to the material life, right? We know as spiritists that the body dies, the body stays, but we don't die. we continue living, going through experiences that are exchanges between the material and the spiritual realm. And for us to go through this study together, we're going to use a book called The Works of the Life Eternal to help us have a more concrete idea of, of the Spiritist teachings. Why did the Spirits give us so many books? And the reason is, if it was too abstract, we wouldn't be able to understand. So they bring it to us so we can visualize, we can talk about it, we can discuss it, and start internalizing critical aspects of a life as a spirit. Okay? So we're going to start by observing on the slide 1 that the good spirits come to help us even before we die. They're there to help us prepare. And look at that. They come as a team. They don't come as one person that, we think that might be our loved one. It's a team of doctors and nurses and mentors that come to help prepare us for discarnation. The question is, does everybody receive assistance? Yes, all of us will receive assistance. Now, in the case of this book, Demas, you will meet him soon, he does receive extra assistance because he has merit. He has done lots of work on benefits of others, to others, helping people that are suffering, and that gives him merits for this extra assistance. And what does it mean to work, right? To work for spiritists like us, it's not like we go to work, we do our work, the job, and come back. We are working when we are helping others. It's true opportunities of regeneration when we are connected to the Christian consciousness, okay? So you don't have to be a spiritist to have merits. That's not the case. It's just that we understand that when we help others, that's how we are exemplifying and living according to Jesus' teachings. So the good spirits arrive at this very humble house, and you'll see on the next slide. And when they arrive at the house, they found this man laying on the bed. He is still alive, okay? The material, the organic body is still there. One thing that got observed right away when they came in is that the room was radiant with light, so it was very luminous, right? And the good spirits know that when a house is very luminous or a room, what type of company do we have, right? We have good spirits. So they know that that person has been receiving constant visits from good spirits. So the person on the bed is Demas. He had been a faithful worker for many, many years, meaning he was dedicated to helping others. That was a priority for his life. When it means faithful, it means that, if he was needed, he was reliable. He understood what he had to get done. He probably did a lot in the Spiritist Center. And in this case, they specifically say that he used his mediumistic faculties to help people that were suffering and that needed a lot of help. So he had this skill. He was a medium, and he put it to work. So we have to think with ourselves, what skill did God give me? And how can I put it to work to benefit others? That's how we get merit. Demas, being a medium and connected with the higher realms through his work, through his life, perceived that the good spirits were there, spirit friends. He closed his eyes. He started to pray. He prayed that he would receive assistance. And during his prayer, he said, I'm tired. But he was still calm and confident. Let's pause again here because this is very key. We can imagine ourselves, let us imagine, or maybe you've seen, somebody pass away. They do look tired sometimes, right? They're there on the bed, you see them. But the key here is, are we calm and confident? Do we believe that the next life, that the spiritual life is waiting for us? Do we believe that we are going back home? Do we believe that we have received or we have done enough to have merits and be received by the good spirits? It is all those things we have to think, because it will come the day that we will discarnate once again. Nothing new. We've done it many, many, many times already. It's going to come again. So to continue the story, the good spirits start applying passes, like relieving some of his suffering. He's still incarnated. He's feeling it. And Jimas feels comfort immediately. He feels the benefit of the passes that is being applied to him. So then what happens, and you'll be able to see on the next slide, is at night, they get Jimas and many others and take them to the spiritual realm to further the preparation. So how beautiful, this is, that even though, he's getting ready to discarnate, he's still being prepared. He's still being cared for the good spirits. He's being taken to the spiritual realm to really work on loosening these ties to the material body. And I would ask for the next slide. One more, please. Thank you. And then coming back to Jimas in the body, in the bedroom, the good spirits are there. They're trying to do their work. They're trying to help Jimas discarnate. But his wife is there. His wife is very distraught. She's tired. Her eyes are red from crying and crying. But one thing that she's not aware that she's doing is that through her affliction that is so great, she's creating emanations that looks like a great web of ties that is surrounding them and making the work of the good spirits really hard, because the wife is thinking that she doesn't want to let him go. She's praying that he stays. She wants him right there. She loves him, but it's a love that we're yet to understand how to sublimate. We think when we love that we need people with us, close to us. And we've learned that that is not the case. If we love, we let them go. But she's there. She is very distraught. The good spirits have to do something to help Jimas. So they donate some energy so Jimas feels a little bit better. So he opens his eyes, he tells his wife, "It's okay, I'm feeling better. You can go ahead and rest a little bit." She leaves the room, and that allows the good spirits to make those gray webs of, thoughts to go away. And they are able then to help Jimas start actually the process of discarnation. Jimas recognizes what is about to happen. He starts praying, and he prays for whom? He prays for Mother Mary, of course. And he asks Mother Mary if he would be able to see his own mother at that moment. So he's praying in his final moments. He recognizes, beautiful, prays for Mother Mary. And who shows up at the door? his mother. His mother came because he asked for it in his prayer. She sits next to him. She cuddles him on her lap and helps the process by, allowing him to be calm. It's really, really beautiful, friends. And it teaches us that we can pray for Mother Mary. She listens to us. She is taking care of each one of us. And in moments like this, call her. There's no prayer that will go unanswered as long as it is from our heart. Okay? Feel it and pray fervently, and that's what matters. You don't need special words. You don't need a special prayer. You don't need the only requirement is that it comes from your heart. So for the process of discarnation, what happens is the good spirits come and starts cutting these fluidic links that exist between the body and the perispirit. You can see on the picture one still connected because it will be the last one. But we have many, many, many more connections, with those fluidic links. They come and they cut it very gently, very precise, because there are many points of connections, right? One interesting thing about fluidic links is that we can have those fluidic links connected to material things. And that is a problem. Because if we are trying to be disconnected from the body and we want to have a easier discarnation, that fluidic link connected to a watch, a wallet, a furniture, or to people, right? To our kids, our parents, that would make it much, much harder for our discarnation process. So we're going to go a little bit deeper on this into what we learned on the book Heaven and Hell. And you can go there and read more. It's critical for us to understand. It's important for us to discuss it, okay? So on the book Heaven and Hell, and we can look on the next slide, mediumistic drawing that was received, exemplifying for us what the passage looks like. So you have the material body, the organic body laying. You have the perispirit still with the fluidic links that's being connected. You can see the good spirits coming to assist. And the first thing that happens is the extinction of the organic life. So material body dies. That doesn't mean that our perispirit is free to go. We're still connected by those links. And it's a matter of how connected we are that will make how easy our discarnation will be, okay? So let us revisit now one more. It's critical for us, and then we'll go back to what happened to Dimas. So on the next slide, we're going to see what happens to our these bonds that we have between the perispirit and our organic body, the body that you can pinch right now. So for us to have a complete disengagement of the perispirit, let's say, discarnation is coming. For us to discarnate super easy, for the soul not to feel anything, we cannot be one little bit materialistic. That is the bottom line. We are free souls. The way we came, we're good to give it. Nothing is mine. Everything is from God, and that's it. And that full resignation, that discarnation is rare, at least in this planet. It is rare because we're still very materialistic, right? During this coronavirus this process that we're going through, we are learning to be less materialistic, even though it might be that we're being forced, but we're realizing Do we need all the clothes that we have? No, because we're not even using it anymore, right? Do we need many cars? No, because you're not driving anywhere. Do you need to travel and have many, many vacations? No. So we are being forced to really open our eyes and see what is important. And it's pretty clear that things are and should not be priority. So now that is the easy one, the one we want for ourselves. The next one is when is a strong cohesion between body and spirit. So when there's a strong cohesion, it means we are very materialistic. So we went from not being materialistic to being very materialistic, and that creates a very strong bond between perispirit and body, like super glue on your fingers, very hard to get out, right? Really, really hard to get off. It will be hard in this carnation. It's going to be painful, and we're going to feel it. We might be even connected to the body for a little bit of time. And that's why it's important for us to wait during the discarnation process and death, wait a little bit, because we might have a strong cohesion and we might feel in our perispirit that separation. And the next one is a weaker cohesion. So it's not very strong, but it's not complete disengagement either. So you might feel it, but it will be a little bit easier, okay? And after life is done, the organic life, so after the material body is done, all these points of contact between body and perispirit, you're going to feel those connections until the good spirits come and they are able to, diligently cut them, okay? So one tip here that we must think for ourselves, how materialistic are we? In all of this, how materialistic are we? One easy exercise that we were taught a long time ago at the Spiritual Society of Virginia is if somebody walks up to you and says, "Oh my goodness, Paloma, I love that, necklace you're wearing." Take the necklace and give it. Are you able to do that? Do you need that jewelry? It's just an exercise. It's an example, right? Of course, you have to think about these things deeper, but it's an example. If somebody comes to you and says, "Wow, I love your pen." Okay, you can have it. Here, you can have this pen. Oh, you like my necklace? You can have my necklace. Because whatever comes to us, it is not ours. It's from God, including money. So is the money that is coming to us ours? No. Do we want to be attached to it while we're trying to discarnate? Or after the body is dead, we're still connected to money or wallet or watch? Something for us to think deeper and deeper. So now we're going to go and learn what happens to Dimas after the fluidic links were cut.
So after all this process, dear friends, you saw that this process take a long time to achieve. So if Dimas took a while to be able to be separated of his body, and he's still not separated yet, we can see how much work we need to put in this process to be more spiritualized. As you see here, this is Dimas viewing, and there is a lot of good friends over there trying to help him through this process, because it's not an easy process. We has been with this body for a while, right? Sometimes we live more than 50 years to 100 years nowadays. So we have been connected to this body for a long period of time. Not for the eternal spirit, but as a living as in the material life, this is a long time for us, right? So here he is laying on his viewing, getting ready for the next chapter of his life, and the good spirits are still there helping, guiding, knowing that he needs so much help, even through the viewing, because his body needs to be completely disconnected in order for this incarnation to happen. So, right now, as Paloma mentioned to us, the physical body has no animation, right? Because he's already in his coffin. So, there's no animation in the body, but this link between the body and the soul, the perispirit, is still there even during the viewing. So it's very important for us when we have to go in a viewing for our loved ones, for someone that we know, how we behave, because the good spirits are there to help this process. But it's very important if they can count on us. The more people that go and help doing prayers, elevating their thoughts, being positive during this period of transition, they can use your help as well, because we are a team of Master Jesus, and no matter where we are, if we are connecting with them, these spirits from the spiritual realm that come here to help in the transition can use us to help in the transition as well. So he was laying there, and the mother is still watching. The mentor come and ask the mom and say, how is he doing? And then she mentioned that he would be better if he had prepared his friends and everybody in his network that was going there to see him in this process. So it is a lot of work for the mentors, for the good spirits to help on the disincarnation process. And Demas, as we know, he was a different uh, person than a very average person, right? He was to work a lot. So even then, that he worked daily in the good, there was still parts that he was not able to share with the network that he had. So right now, he's still suffering a little bit in this transaction. And then later on in the next slide, we can see that the good mentors finally can come closer after a lot of prayer, after a lot of connection with um, with the higher vibrations. It's time to really cut the silver cord that we call in spiritism. So they come and remove the silver cord. So right now he's gonna wake up in the spiritual realm, and you can see that he sees the first person that he see when the body is completely disconnect with the physical. He see his mom in the spiritual realm. How beautiful this is, huh? Imagine if in the time of your reincarnation, when you are passing and you are there among loved ones, and your mom can come and help you, right? So we need to focus and working on building these little bricks that will build our spiritual security, our spiritual connection with the good spirits. So, because it's by merit, right, that we receive the help. So, as much as we work in the good, as much as we help others in the good, we will receive this help. And right now, he has the bless to be received in the spiritual realm with through his mom. She is there. She's gonna help him and guide him throughout. So at this moment, when the transition is done, hopefully we're all not connected to the body, right? Because the next step when you go to a viewing, they're gonna close the coffin where you are, right? And then you're gonna start marching to the cemetery. In Brazil, normally we walk over there, but in the US, we drive following the cars to the cemetery. And it's very interesting to see on the next slide that from afar, those spirits that lingering around the cemetery already see there is a fresh body coming in. And why do we say a fresh body? Because there are some spirits that live and stay around there waiting to take the last energies that is into the body of the person that just disincarnated. But because demons receive so much help from the spiritual realm, and you can see even in the cemetery, the good spirits are there, and demons is there watching his funeral. So he is there and watching, and these other spirits that were trying to come and suck his energies are not allowed to come close because of his protection. So they stay away because they say he is a protected spirit. So they cannot touch this body. It's almost like demon's body is sacred. You can't touch. We are taking care. So let us pause again and see how much care, how much love the good spirits send it to us. When we are about to disincarnate, they know and they are already around us, giving us some tips, some clue that what is going to be the next step. Some people felt ill and stay in the hospital and stay there for a long time. Others have a more sudden death that they still know that it's going to happen, but there was no big time for this disconnection, right? But let's always remember, no matter how attached you are to the matter, to your body, you will receive help. But we want to let you know that the more we learn about the spiritual realm, there is no need for us to be attached to this matter, because when we disincarnated, it's hard. But when we know that we are a spirit, we starting acting as a spirit, we will feel more elevated, and then death, it will be just a process, just like Paloma starts. It's life and life, right? Life and afterlife. Because we will be leaving, we're going back to the source, to where we came from. Because we know planet Earth is our school. We are here living an experience in the material realm. So when we return, we go and live our life as a spirit. So we need to focus on that and make it easier for us. I don't know how was our reincarnation in the past, but hopefully this incarnation, and when we come to the disincarnate, it will be much smoother than the other ones. So he's being helped, he's being allowed to watch what's going on to him. And not everybody has the opportunity to watch and see what's going on. Some people, when they disincarnated, they are in such a trouble mindset, because when you disincarnated, you just change state. So wherever state your mind was, that's the same state that's gonna be when you disincarnated. So some people are so blind, so involved in some material things that they stay in the house, they stay sometimes asleep. They're not allowed to be there and see what's going on to this process. So you really have that close, this beautiful close in your life, because death is beautiful. We continue living, and we can only imagine for all the stories that André Luiz, Chico Xavier, and Kardec, and all the books in spiritism bring to us, how beautiful it can be if we do our good hard work here on earth, right? We need to do our homework, we need to study, we need to invest, we need to be always seeking to be better as a spirit, right? And after that, they go to the next slide. They are going to a more elevated place. Where is this place? This place is called Transitory Home of Fabiano. So if you had the chance to read this book, there was many other spirits involved in this process of this incarnation. Today we are focused on Demas. But after this team of good spirit has helped all these spirits that they were supposed to help during this incarnation, they were brought to the transitory home of Fabiano, where they are going to receive new informations, guidance to how and what's happening to them, right? You can see that in order to go straight from your disincarnation, when you disconnect from your body to a transitory home and being conscious, it means you are doing your hard work and knowing more about the spiritual realm. Okay? Some people will go there and don't know what happens. And we can vote for you that sometimes people come to medianistic meeting. People, when I'm saying here, I'm saying spirits. They will come to our spiritist section, meeting session, and they don't know that they have disincarnated. So we need to be very careful when we tell them what is actually going on. But with Demas and all these friends, all these brothers and sisters that disincarnated with him, they were granted to go to the transitory home. And Zenobia is the lady that is in charge of that. So she received them, and they are there and feeling the loving and care of these good spirits. And after receiving some welcoming to the place, to the transitory home, they receive music. In the next slide, you can see that the spirits are singing, right? When we go to places, when we listen to melodies, when we listen to elevated song, our soul, it feels like it expands. Imagine when you go to the transitory home and those good spirits, I imagine they have a very good voice singing to us, very attuned, well, very good harmony between their voice, singing to us, helping us in this time of transition. So it's very important for us to that stay incarnated. When we have someone that is incarnate, we need to send them good thoughts and sing good songs, elevated songs to them, so they can enjoy this transition in the spiritual realm. Because as we talk about it when we are studying for this session, sometimes people have loved ones that pass away, and they, instead of being prayerful, being more thoughtful what they are saying and feeling, sometimes people don't even say anything. They just lock themselves in the room and don't say anything. But we need to know what we are thinking, because as we think, we are emanating this to the spiritual realm. So we want to send good vibration, because imagine you are granted to go to the transitory home, and they are singing to you, and there are people here on earth crying for you, right? You are in the middle. You want to be enjoying this new journey and be free and live better, but there is also this connection, right, with the material realm of people sending you those thoughts of selfishness, wanting you to be there, not letting you go. So it's very important for us to do this homework with our family and our friends, that is okay that life is gonna end on the material realm, but we are being reborn on the other side. And there are spirits guiding, helping us throughout the process. So they're always helping us. So after this beautiful singing, after this beautiful welcoming section ceremony that they had, they still continue moving on. And the next slide, they are saying goodbye from the transitory home, right? And they're flying even higher. If it was already good being in the transitory home, imagine going to the colonies like Nosso Lar, other colonies that are in the spiritual realm. So they went from their graduation to being to the ballroom, right? Receiving songs, good vibration, boosting their soul with more energy so they can continue their journey to a more elevated place. And that's what we want to show you, that is possible to achieve if you want to work on your soul, work on your spiritual journey, because we are here, and the only thing that we know for sure once we are born is that we are going to disincarnate one day. So day one, when we are born, we are being taken care of, mother, parents, all the families taking care of us. But later on, we need to start to learn more about the spiritual realm so we can do this transition. And when it's time, everything happens smoothly. And with Spiritism, we are so grateful for Kardec, for Chico Xavier, bringing all this teaching to us, showing us how is on the other side and how we can prepare. As we mentioned once and many times before, sometimes we we live a life in the past that was not better like this, but this is the incarnation that we have the access of Spiritism. So let us not take it for granted and dedicate time for study, time to know and achieve more knowledge about the spiritual realm, because the only thing that we know for sure that is going to happen to us is death, and we want to be prepared for that. So, with that, we finish this part and we send it back to Vanessa. And if you guys have any question, Vanessa's here. We are here to help you guys, and hope this help everyone.
Yes, thank you, Luciana. Thank you, Paloma. So let's stay here together because we can see we have questions. Our dear friend Daniel, right? Daniel, hello, Daniel. He has a question that is so important. All deaths are foreseen by the spirit realm, like, for example, homicides, accidents, etc. The superior realms can foresee it. They do. Even accidents, even things like we. And you can read, Daniel, the cases as portrayed in all of André Luiz books. You can see that people who are going to think of suicide before they even start contemplating the strategies, the good spirits are already there. Read the book Sex and Destiny and you see Marita, even before she thought of it, she was walking mad in the streets and they knew because of her feelings. She was thinking about quitting life. So they found a way to lead her into a pharmacy where the pharmacist was a spiritist and he was receptive to spiritual inspiration. And he got it that she wanted to commit suicide. So he didn't give her what she wanted. He gave her something else. And they participate in the whole journey, but at some point, she is caught into an accident. And they are there all along. They're there helping. Remember, they can't intervene. To tease us even deeper, go to the book Paul and Stephen by Emmanuel. It's very surprising to many readers when they get to know on chapter 10 of the first part that when Stephen, the first martyr of Christianity, is being stoned to death, that Emmanuel discloses that Jesus was watching it closely, and it even describes Jesus' feeling. And you may say, but Jesus, how come he didn't intervene? Well, friends, this is a story for another talk. Free will versus, divine intervention. It's a story for another day. But read in the Spirit's book about the law of freedom. And then we're going to get to know more about it. But for sure, these are
And they are singing to you.
Oh, sorry. And then you can get to know more about these teachings, okay? Thank you, Daniel. I hope it's answered. If you're not, just let us know. So Souza is asking. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. So Souza is asking, I don't like to go to cemeteries. I don't feel good. Is that normal? Yes. Is that normal? Yes, it is normal because it's not a place where you feel like, yay, let's have a party. So it's the law of preservation inside of us. But we would say Spiritism prepares us to go to cemeteries with a different purpose. Let's say you're invited to a funeral. How are you going to behave there? So now I want to call Paloma and Luciana because it's so interesting to talk about this. And they mentioned briefly, but I would like them to reinforce the attitude about it. Paloma, you want to begin it, please?
Yes. So we talked a little bit about how the attitude before the discarnation with the wife, the attitude not to have the desperation. What is the attitude we want is the prayerful, calm, resignated attitude, right? That's for us to help in the process. Now, there's also the attitude after the discarnation happened. So when we go to funerals, and we can have examples probably in our families at this point where you've been to funerals and it tends to be loud conversations and people already forgot that you are in a viewing, in a funeral. And that's not helping either. The spirit that just discarnated could even be there, listening to it, watching it. He might be present. So what is the attitude that we should have in situations like that? Is the prayerful attitude, the one that we are connected, with God, that we're asking that spirit is received on the other side by loving and good spirits. We are emanating love and kindness from our hearts for us to be good tools in the hands of the good spirits. They're counting on us for us to, elevate our vibrations and help the ones on the transition. And it doesn't need to be only people we know. It does not have to be, you might not even know the person ever. You might have just seen the name, as we saw an example from Yvonne Pereira today. Vanessa shared with us, she would just open the newspaper and read a name. And you bet that spirit received her vibrations and they were much well received. So that's my sharing about, good attitude in moments like this.
Yes, thank you. Paloma and Luciana, these current times of the pandemic, many people discarnating, close people to us, loved ones, and you want to reinforce, right? Since you were talking about the viewing, the
Yeah.
conversations. There is a part we didn't share in this book, right?
Yes. So it's very important to us to see how we should behave. So, as we mentioned, there is a lot of death going on, and especially I was trained this week to be in a funeral and put in practice all the teachings that Kardec, Chico Xavier has given to us until today. So when we go, we know, especially when I was in Brazil growing up, I remember we were not allowed to watch TV for 3 days after somebody in the family passed. We were told that we need to be very quiet, not watching TV, always being praying and sending good thoughts for the disincarnated soul. And that was happening before I was a spirit, not knowing what's going on with the spirit, right? So my grandparents, my mom, they already grew up saying that you're not allowed to watch TV when somebody passed. So TV was off for 3 days. And here, as a grown up, you're like, oh, I don't care, right, about this. But as we go back and start learning with Spiritism and learning on all those books that Andrea Luiz bring to us in this book too, and also in the book of Voltaire, I came back and there's many books. All the books will touch a little bit on that because that's where we're gonna return. It's very important to see that most of the time we need to be able to be connecting with these good spirits because as I mentioned in that slide, it was showing that the good spirit was working hard to keep the peace, to keep the harmony around in the place where they were doing the view. Because what can happen there? Sometimes we can say something that is not very happy about the person that is dead or about someone, and we can bring not very elevated spirit to that place. So it's very important for us to be very vigilant, always vigilant to see what type of spirits we are going to be bringing with us and how is going to be the respect that I'm showing to the deceased because they're there, the body's there, just waiting for all this disconnection to happen, but they also count on us to help. So, as an example, when you go to a funeral home, you can see the music is already like more classic music to help with the vibration, and then you go there and they invite you to pray. Even not knowing about spiritism, but they already know that there is a process, there's something to do. So the more as we study, the more we get to know about the spiritual realm. I'm sure even the funeral, the viewing is going to change a little bit more. But even they not knowing already, they already has like the ritual, the ceremony that it comes from our ancestor that we need to respect, that we need to be praying and in silence at that time.
Thank you, Luciana. And now we want to remind everybody of one thing. Now that many people, because of the coronavirus, they have like those who die in the hospitals without family. People are like, oh my gosh, it's so sad. Believe Spiritism. It's better for them to discarnate there than at home for two reasons. One, because at home, we keep these connections with all the material things we have. It anchors us energetically. You can read from the book Voltaire. I came back. We did the whole study here at Kardec Radio 2 years ago. And it's there on YouTube or here at the Facebook page of Kardec Radio. And there you find Dr. Bezerra de Menezes talking to Brother Jacob saying, you see, you're here, but look, your belongings there. You see the links, the fluid links? You know, people who are attached to their things. Like, oh, this is my pen. Funny enough, they hold that pen so dearly. I know people who make pen collections. And they say, like, no, nobody touches them. But you know, if you want to watch my kid, that's okay. So they don't care who is watching their kids. But if they would never allow you to drive their cars. You know, so when you discarnate near those objects, it's very hard to cut the links. And the second thing is, as Paloma was explaining at the beginning of this session, even though we may love our loved ones, but this love is not sublimated, and we're holding them, anchoring them, and they're suffering here, and this carnation may be ever more complicated because we are around. So in the hospitals, the high spirits, they have high apparatuses that they can operate upon people and make things more easily. I'm not going to say it's easier to die in a hospital either. That's not what it means. But it means if that happens, mark it down. It's the best that could have happened for that person and for the family.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, oh my gosh, it's so terrible. My loved one died of the coronavirus far away from me. What a disaster. It's not a disaster. It's not a disaster. We want to clarify this because many people have been asking us such questions. And we want to clarify that it's not a disaster because God is presiding everything, overseeing everything, watching over us. We're safe, but we need to help. As Paloma and Luciana reminded us, we need to help in the discarnation of people. If right now you're home and nothing happened to you or to your loved ones, you're being asked to help those who are going through this, those who are transitioning, because after death, as Luciana showed, there's much more to it. When people discarnate, if we are here shocked and crying and in despair, we're not helping their transition. Imagine those who deserve a good discarnation and the other ones are here like, oh my gosh, it's a terrible day. It's not a terrible day because death doesn't exist. Death is just the name for the transition back home. Oh, Vanessa, I want to see when it happens to you and your loved ones. Me too. Me too. I want to see it. But I tell you, being a medium, life becomes like so intertwined that it's sometimes almost hard to say, this is it, because I feel it's much more than it. So we hope that this has been helpful to you, friends. Share this news with your family, with friends. This is time to share this news. And of course, also to pray is all the more essential. Now, talking about prayer, we're going to march toward this moment of our passes and our prayer. I'm going to keep here a slide for you, friends, so you can feel. Just a second, because I'm going to put the music here. And you can feel the vibrations. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Let us all now vibrations of the good spirits with us. Let us visualize that wherever they are showering us with healing vibrations. Visualize illuminated hands applying medicinal vibrations onto you, relieving you from pains and sorrows. Breathing deeply. Breathe out slowly. And feel that your home, your loved ones are being gently enveloped by these vibrations of love. Breathing in healing molecules, breathing out unneeded toxins, toxins of all sorts of the mind and the bodies. Breathing, receiving the passes of the spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists. Dear God, we're learning a little bit more today about the miracles of your love, the sweetness of your loving care, your providence, and your everlasting presence. Thank you for sending the spirit messengers to us to treat us. Thank you for the beauty of life, for the beauty of our community, for the beauty of existing. And today, we especially dedicate this prayer to those who are discarnating and have been discarnating during these times of the pandemic. We pray that they feel the loving care of your messengers. We pray that the ones who remain here feel the envelopment of your love. In deep gratitude, we close these moments of our material servants, certain that during our sleep time, you kindly allow us to continue our instruction, our usefulness, our treatment, and so be it. All right, friends. So thank you, Paloma. Thank you, Luciana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, second. So much, friends who have been here with us. And if you have any question, feel free to write to us. Don't ever think like, oh, they are so busy. No, we are here for this. We need to share these teachings because we're going to live better. Feel free to write to us at cardiacradio@gmail.com or to the Spiritual Side of Virginia's email or to our personal contact so we can share with you if we know. If we don't know, it's homework for us too. Okay, friends? Thank you. A big hug. And until next time. Bye bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.